hear much about how salt is an environmental scourge and salinity is a creeping menace. But in some parts of Australia, the tables are being turned. In 2015, Tim Lee reported on efforts to put Murray River salt on fine dining tables around the world.
Ten kilometres north of the Murray River at Mildura lies the Morequong Basin, a natural salt marsh and a haven for birds. It's also a valuable source of salt. So valuable, in recent years, it has won worldwide acclaim.
I suppose salt used to just be a seasoning tool, but now it's a really gourmet product.
When I sort of first started my career, it was all the Malden sea salts and the imported European stuff. And this took over in the period of a couple of years, I think. It just exploded.
It makes you proud that, something from Sunraysia that was an environmental disaster sort of come out to be a good thing. So.
And this is what's helping stave off environmental damage. This highly saline water, pumped from bores beneath the Murray River, is part of a salt mitigation scheme. Each day, this system removes about 200 tonnes of damaging salt that would otherwise travel downstream.
This being on the New South Wales side, this is the resulting end of the bores. The water comes out, and that's the same salinity as seawater. And this comes out here and then migrates its way up towards the north, where we then turn this waste into products that we can sell.
What happens is that brine does infiltrate into the base of the Murray, particularly when you get lower flows through the Murray. But what we do is in partnership with the New South Wales and the Murray-Darling Basin Authority, but also the New South Wales and Victorian governments, we get that brine and then we turn it into something.
The Morequong Basin is 6 kilometres long. A series of lakes helps manage the quality of the brine. As the water flows along the basin, it naturally purifies. Unwanted minerals gradually drop out.
So that when the brine comes onto your mining lease, then it's of a really good high quality. So that's the first little trick with making salt, is you're only as good as the brine.
Duncan Thompson knows a great deal about brine. He has mined salt, the residue of Australia's prehistoric inland sea, in northwest Victoria, along the New South Wales border, for more than 30 years. In 2000, his company Sunsalt got environmental approval to utilise and crystallise the saline water pumped into Morequong.
Our salt factory takes over, makes the mineral salts, which we see the pink salt, swim pool salt, hide salt, a lot of different things for industry.
And if you didn't intercept and get that salt, it would simply cause further land degradation?
This area here would just gradually fill up with salt water. And as everybody knows, what happens with salt as it gradually migrates, it just permeates everything.
The good old-fashioned take a negative and try and turn it into a positive and provide people with jobs in the meantime.
And that's what Sunsalt, with its Murray River salt brands, is doing very well. This sensible environmental outcome had a silver, or more accurately, a pink lining. The salt from Morequong has no additives, but it is naturally loaded with minerals and elements such as magnesium and calcium, and that's what makes it a distinctive pink colour. Its colour has got it noticed around the globe.
Look, the Murray River Gourmet Pink Salt, that was a brainchild of Duncan and Jan. They've assisted with it through the early years, but now it's just gone from strength to strength over the last maybe 5 or 6 years. It's become known as a really top-end brand in Australian gourmet food. And the pinkness and the taste and the environmental story and the texture, they all come in together, and it's to do with the minerals.
Evaporation during summer makes the brine ponds even more vivid, and when they're dry enough, a special harvester skims off the hardened crust.
we've built this refinery so that the salt that we harvest here is then washed and put through to a drying process, then crushing, classification, and in the bags behind us here are used in hide salt, so the chemicals are added to that to facilitate that. In other areas we make swimming pool salt, which is pure, and we've got other forms of salt that we can bag off in different areas of the plant.
The higher grade salt goes to the company's factory in Mildura, where in large vats it slowly crystallises into large pinkish flakes. It's then delicately dried and packaged. Much has changed since Landline first met Duncan and Jan Thompson a little more than a decade ago. Back then, the company's pink salt was just starting to win the approval of food connoisseurs.
We're the first company in Australia to actually use the underground aquifers to turn it into salt and market it commercially. And of course, the small Kwong operation here is the first and the biggest to really be put in the Murray-Darling Basin as it is, and to get it working as quick as we did, I'm really pleased that we've done it to demonstrate it can be done and securely and safely.
Started off as a laboratory, all my saucepans and microwaves pitted with salt being cooked. Saucepans are wrecked, but it hasn't bothered me. It's been interesting.
For years, the Thompsons relied on selling their gourmet salt at fairs and markets. The couple is still promoting their products in person, such as here at the Perth Food Fair. Now, such is the demand for the gourmet table salt that the Mildura factory is about to double in size. In recent years, their pink salt has won dozens of awards here and abroad. Notable customers include several international airlines.
Some way, shape or form, all of the continents, mainly obviously Europe and America, but also more and more pushing into Asia, particularly through new free trade agreements such as Japan and South Korea, and now into China. So it keeps us on our toes.
With the gourmet salt, we're getting more orders from all around the world. We've had to reject customers. We've got a lot of things that we can do. We've had Chinese here wanting to buy because it's clean, green. They want us to export food-grade salt straight over there. So I've got no fear at all to say that there's a market for anything we produce here.
The business began with lesser-grade salt products. One of its mainstays has been supplying the minerals for salt licks for livestock.
The range of products fit in with the different sites. We've got a Hatta site, which is just down the road towards Melbourne in Victoria. That produces a golden colour salt, and that goes into the stock feed products. So that's sold, again, to farmers right through the Murray-Darling Basin. So I reckon that's a great little story in itself there, because you've got the brine that's being lifted to stop the inland salinity, but then you're also turning it into things like salt licks that can benefit the farmers.
Having a diversity of products has been crucial to the company's growth. Alongside the salts and minerals for industrial use, there's a sweet sideline: chocolates. The Mildura Chocolate Company operates as a purveyor of fine chocolate. Handcrafted products may seem to be a little labour-intensive until you realise the enterprise is far more than a sugar hit. As an adjunct to the Christie Centre, a not-for-profit disability support service, it provides valuable employment.
The number one and only reason that we exist is to provide employment for our supported employees who otherwise might find themselves with something, with nothing to do during the day, or in another form of employment that's not as fulfilling, and they really, really love and really are so proud of the products that you see, So it's great. What a place to work.
For the Thompsons, it's a way of giving back to the Mildura community, and sweetness and salt go together nicely. The joint venture has given the 5-year-old charity a much-needed boost. The latest product is a salted chocolate sauce.
So here's a sauce.
Well, we want to take more of this to the food shows.
Just developing it with them has been great, because not only are they offering us a business proposal, but also brain knowledge, technical help and marketing help, those kind of things that we've kind of been struggling to have the time and the finances to develop ourselves. Can you have some more? Yeah. I'll just keep feeding you. Are you ready? The bonus is that they've got such a great name in the market already. I mean, you see it on all those great big chef shows, and it's sitting there and they put in a bit of pink salt. We're piggybacking, at the same time as having this great partnership.
But if spice is more your thing, there's always chili salt.
It's trying to bring in the regional flavour as well. So with the chili, that's the chili supplier there. That's a local Aboriginal corporation, and they supply the red earth chilies. We've been in partnership with them for maybe 3 or 4 years.
A few years back, when Mick Kelly found he had fresh chilies he couldn't sell, he perfected the art of drying them. Then Duncan Thompson heard about it.
It's just the colour of the chilies you've got, the flavour we've got in the salt is absolutely magnificent. And looking at these chilies, they've just got lovely colour on them.
We left them on there long enough to ripen on the plant, so to speak.
Yep.
So you have a look at that colour. For us to put that in, to dry that out and put that into your chili salt, just makes a superior product, I think.
I can only agree wholeheartedly with that, Mick, because the colour really shows out in the salt and the flavour. Really great, thank you.
Duncan Thompson says sales of his salt have benefited from Australia's exacting food safety standards.
When you're in China and talking to South Koreans, I said, I can change the language from our labels to South. No. If it's in Australian, you see the kangaroo on that, we know it's clean, it's green. And that's a big thing. Same in China. No, we want good, clean salt. But I've been into salt works in China, and I believe that we've got a far better product.
High-profile chef Jim McDougall certainly thinks so. The restaurateur, a proud Mildura resident, is a big fan of pink gourmet salt. But he also puts to good use large lumps of unprocessed or rock salt.
So essentially, this is the wet natural rock, and it's quite hard there, so you want to scrape it down to where that crust becomes quite firm. I like a bit of an organic look. Doesn't have to be too pretty for me, I don't think. I want it to look like it's just came out of a salt lake, basically.
Jim McDougall uses these salt rocks to cure meats such as kangaroo.
So essentially, it's cooking without heat using Murray River salt. So as the moisture goes into the salt cooks the kangaroo. Cooking at the table with Murray River.
For diners, such innovative cooking is quite an experience.
They've never seen anything like it before, honestly. Anything interactive, I find, on a menu creates, this great sort of sense of wonder. And the idea that they can actually leave it on longer to change the texture, it's all in their hands. They love it. They love it. They really do enjoy it. And at the end of the day, it tastes really, really good.
The company's new salt works alongside the Murray-Darling Basin has been built with future expansion in mind.
This is a facility that we built for the future, and with the prospect of getting more water in to make sure that we've got a facility that can handle 50,000 tonne, not 20 as we're doing now. We're putting out over 30 with Hatter. So we've got the facilities, we've got everything sitting there. We just want to get a little bit more water to really make sure that the employment keeps on going and this company keeps on going very successfully.
To do that, Duncan Thompson will firstly have to win environmental approval from a raft of government departments on both sides of the border. But he's an old hand at dealing with bureaucracy and confident it will go ahead. This thriving enterprise that turns wastewater into a gourmet delight continues to amaze.
Never in my wildest dreams I would have thought that it was going to be, this big. But, the flavour of it was to continue to grow and grow and grow, to have a good world-class food-grade mine facility, producing food-grade salt, as well as the other end of it being the pink salt.
It's unbelievable. It's gone in leaps and bounds. I've been around New South Wales and around Australia, a lot of places, and sat in different restaurants, and the old pink salts, they always seem to be on the table, so...
Tim Lee with that story from 2015. Well, that's the show for today. We